Have you ever in the past tried something for the first time and it tasted and felt so good that it completely blew you away and you bursted out saying, "Where have I been all my life?" Well, today is one such day, as goat brains are definitely not one of the common menu items on either Eastern or Western cuisines. Goat brains have a texture and taste that's unlike anything else that you've ever tasted before. And if you cannot find goat brains at your local butcher shop, head out to your local halal meat place and they'll be more than happy to fill your request. And I guarantee you, whether you have brains or not, you're definitely going to enjoy eating them, because I sure do. Let's go ahead and start with some brain activity now. So to start off, I'm going to tell you the ingredients that I'll be using. So here we have all the ingredients laid out. It's pretty minimalistic, very few ingredients. We have 1 teaspoon of chili pepper, 2 tablespoons of yogurt, 1 teaspoon of crushed ginger, 1 teaspoon of crushed garlic. I'm using half a teaspoon of Pakistani Himalayan salt. It's very common these days. It goes by the name of Himalayan salt, and you can find it in most grocery stores these days. And we'll be using a pinch of turmeric. And of course, we have our star of the show here. So I have 5 goat brains here. They're not looking very presentable right now. They're kind of like all flopped out in a plate, but that's how they start. These are brains of 5 goat brains. And the first thing we'll do is I'm going to put these into a boiling water. And if you notice here, we have veins in the brain. These need to be removed before we can cook them. So they're going to go in the boiling water for just about a minute, maybe even less. We'll take them out, strain them, and then that makes it easy for us to take the veins out. And I'm going to show you how the process is done. We have 1 onion that we'll be using. This is a small size onion that I'm using for 5 goat brains. I have some green hot pepper. I'm going to use some of this to cook the brains, and then I'll use the rest of it on top for garnishing. And then we have same thing, coriander here for garnish, and of course some oil. All right, so guys, we're going to go ahead and start taking the veins, or show you the process of taking the veins out of the brains. And what I did is I went and got some fresh brains. So here you can see the veins more pronounced compared to what you saw in the beginning in the ingredients. And so the reason for that is because they had been sitting in the fridge for some time and they lost their form, because like I mentioned, brains have a very, very delicate form, and that's the main thing you have to watch throughout the process, that they do not fall apart. So I went and got some fresh brains and here you can see they are a lot more pronounced. Each one of these is a half a brain, and you can see the veins very, very clearly, and these are the veins we are going after. So right now I have my boiling water right up here, and I'm going to put them in there. I'm going to bring it to a rolling boil as much as I can, because once you put these in there, the temperature is going to drop, and then we'll have to wait for them to come to boil one more time. And once it comes to boil the second time around, they probably don't even need a minute in there. You'll probably leave them in there for less than a minute, and you take them out, you strain them, put them on a plate, and I'll show you how you fish for the veins then. So I'm going to wait for it to come to boil, and then we're going to take them out. All right, so as you can see now, we are to a rolling boil now. The foam that you see coming up on top, you want to fish that out, because this is going to take the gaminess out of the brains. So some people like that in there. I like to take it out. Number 2 is that it firms the brains up a little bit, so it's easier for us to take the veins out. And they become a lot more manageable as they get firmed up. So they've been in the boil for probably about not even a minute now. So you just fish them out nicely, and now you can see they're holding their shape a tad bit more better than before. So right now these are very hot. You can see that all the veins are very, very pronounced right now. So what I do is I use a toothpick that you see up here. It's very, very easy for you to fish. So this is one of the veins, as you can see, and here we just pulled it out right there, right? And that's the process that you want to keep on repeating. So no need to go too crazy pulling the veins out. Anything that's easily fishable and big enough, that's what you take out. Small veins, you do not worry about them. You leave them in there. They're going to get disintegrated while cooking. and usually they come in the form of a net. So once you get a good end on it, if you get lucky, you're going to pull a big chunk out. So I'm going to try to go right from this part. So try to go to the part that are the darkest. So like this thing up here is fairly big, fairly large, so I can very easily see it. And here you go. That's your vein right there. So I'm going to go ahead and fish all of these out. And once these are all pulled out nicely, we're going to go ahead and start cooking these things. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all of these out. Here's another one. See how fine these are. I don't know if the camera can focus this or not, but there's one right up here. It's very, very fine. So you don't really need to get to this point, and here you can see the veins that I'm putting on the side. Alright, so now that we have the veins taken out of our brains, we're going to move on to the next step. First thing is I'm going to add some oil to my pan and heat it up. So this is probably about a tablespoon and a half of oil. And while this is heating up, I'm going to cut up my onions. So the onions have to be very finely sliced. And what I have is a small onion here. So try to slice it as fine as you can. Alright, so now as all of our onions have been sliced up thin, we're going to put them into the oil. So you want to keep on moving them. You don't want your onions to get burned. My oil is pretty hot. I'm going to reduce the flame a little bit off the flame. And you just want them to get a little bit translucent. Maybe a little beyond pink towards brownish, but not completely brown. You don't want them to get burned. And at this point, we're very close to the final point of having the brains ready on a plate. Once you come up to this point, it goes very, very quickly. So just watch your onions, keep on moving them around. While this is happening, I'm gonna do my ginger and garlic. I'm gonna slice it up really fine over here. So for the brain, if you don't find it at your conventional butcher place, you can always go to the halal places, the halal meat places. They all carry brains. So I'm going to crush my garlic as well. So I'm going to use this thing. This lets me crush my garlic with the peel on. So I'm probably going to get about 1 teaspoon worth of garlic. So that's probably half a teaspoon. Our ginger in there. You have to make sure you don't let your ginger and garlic burn in the oil, so you have to constantly keep on moving. And if you feel that you need more oil, you can add a tad bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more oil in there. And once you have the raw smell of the ginger and garlic gone, then we can start adding the rest of the things in there. Alright, so this is where you want your onions to be. They're just barely browned at this point, and that's the stage you want them in. So we're going to start putting the rest of our ingredients. First I'm going to put my turmeric, and I'm going to fish it out with my finger. Just need like a pinch of it. My chili peppers, Himalayan salt. This is about half a teaspoon. And in the end, I'm going to add my yogurt. And once you put the yogurt in, you have to start stirring it. You don't want anything to get burned. So now we're going to let it cook for another couple of minutes until the raw taste of all the spices is removed along with the yogurt. So we want it to get sauteed a decent amount. So brain is also called Maghaz. It's called Maghaz Masala from the region where it comes from. Maghaz in Urdu means brains. Alright, so our masala looks ready now, and we're going to add the brains at this point. Let me do it so you can get a view of it. So you have to be very careful with the brains. Like I said, they're very delicate. And now the goal at this point is to just let it sit and get happy. They will be cooked before you know it. And while this is happening, I'm gonna get my garnish ready. Cut up my hot green peppers finely, and same thing just for a little bit of coriander, fresh coriander. So I'm just gonna chop it up roughly. So just chop it up roughly, and that's it. So I'm gonna add, actually I'm gonna wait until the brains are somewhat done. So you can move them around very carefully. A good brain dish is always one where you can see all the pieces, the brain pieces, because that's what you want to eat at the tail end. So once this is getting ready, I'm gonna get a naan ready. These are best eaten with bread. Traditionally it's a naan or a roti that you have probably heard about before. If you can't find anything else, just toast up some good bread, or even a nice pita bread, and toast it up. So as you can see, I'm barely moving them around. Most of the people, when they cook brains, they come out looking very mushy. You don't see the big pieces up here that we have, because people rarely are that much careful. So now at this point, I'm going to add my green hot peppers to it. You can add as little or as much as you want. This is good for my taste. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh chopped coriander as well, and I will leave the rest for garnish on top. And we're pretty much done at this point. So you just give it one more stir. The main goal, again, I cannot emphasize it enough, that to be very gentle and try to keep your brains intact as much as you can, because that's what's gonna give you the amazing taste and feel and texture in the end when you dish it out on a plate and serve it or eat it yourself. I'm gonna cover it for about a minute for it to get nice and happy inside, and once we take it off, it's going to be ready for serving. All right, so guys, our brains are ready. At this point, I'm going to dish them out. They've been going on at high flame for probably not even about minute and a half, and most of my water is gone, and this is how runny I want it. I don't want it any more drier than this. So we're going to go ahead and dish it out. I'll do it so that you can view it as well. And again, very careful when you dish it out. So I'm going to take the smaller pieces, put them towards the bottom. And I want my bigger pieces to show up nicely on the top. And now I'll see if I can just turn my flame off. And this is pretty hot, so I need something to hold it. You want to garnish them on top. Sprinkle some green hot peppers on top. And we'll chase that with some fresh coriander. And your brain fry is ready. Here I have a naan, which is a very common sight in most of the Pakistani restaurants, South Asian restaurants. You will find this thing very commonly. A lot of other restaurants are using these as well. These are called tandoori naan. So we're gonna try to take out the best piece, put it up here. All right, so the best way to eat this is I'm gonna use my hands. If you want, you can use a fork and a knife, but traditionally the naans are always used with hands. You break it up with your hand, and whatever your medium is that's gonna be going with the naan is gonna accompany that. So I'm gonna pick it up, take a nice wallop, and try it out. I'm pretty much speechless at this point. The texture, like I said, of brains is unlike anything else. It's just such a nice explosion of flavors, texture in your mouth. It's really hard to explain. Go ahead and try it out. I love eating brains. I don't know why I don't make more of these. Every time I make it, I think to myself, I should be making these at least once a week. But then, you know, you don't end up doing it until you try it out again. And it's just amazing how these things taste. Just the texture itself, very simple, minimalistic ingredients we have in there. We have really nothing much except ginger, garlic, our hot chili pepper, and yogurt, and that's pretty much all that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this. You go ahead and try this at home, enjoy it as well. And if you like the video, definitely go ahead and subscribe and share it with your family and friends. We want you to support this channel so we can bring more dishes like this. If you have any requests, do put them in the comment. We would love to hear requests from you. Anything that you think is exotic or you've heard about and you would like to know, or you probably ate that at a restaurant somewhere, at a Pakistani restaurant, do let us know and we'll tell you how to make it the authentic way. Until then, this is Mo Eats.